All right, let's do this. Day 134, Reseller Reflections, a day in the life of a full-time reseller supporting her family. It is Sunday, October 20th, and it's about 6 p.m. here on the East Coast, and just kind of wrapping up for the day. All right, have you guys read the book with your kids, or do you know the book, like If You Give a Mouse a Cookie? All right, so I'm having a If You Give a Mouse a Cookie a moment here. If you haven't read the book, it's absolutely adorable. It's so cute. Go read it. But I'm having one of those moments. So if you don't know what I mean, it's like when you start looking at one thing and then it's like unraveling and you just keep. I had it literally get on here to record because I was beside myself going down this rabbit hole of competition. So I'm going to link up a video at the end. I'll link it up in the show notes as well. It's the one I talked about yesterday, and it's Bruce Lipton on Lewis Howes, and it is called How to Reprogram Your Subconscious Mind. So I was talking about a totally different part of this. There's one little blip in the episode that kind of sent me down this spiraling rabbit hole, and it is all about competition. All right, and so one of the things we don't compete on is resetting to zero. We all support each other and we're all participating in this challenge, and kudos to you all. So I'm reset to zero, and so is Jill of Rusted Truck Relics, Jason the Santee Swapper, Char, Fabulous Flamingos, Kathy Singz, Nick, Mr. C Chats, Vanessa, Brightest Holidays, the Diabetic Reseller, Judith R, and Pam of Whimsy and Such. All right, guys. Great job resetting to zero. I know you guys are already not in the competition mindset. This is a whole thing. All right, but we are all supporting and lifting each other up and making sure that we do this every day. Reset our workspaces to zero. Sales, let me just get that out of the way. We did not meet our sales goal today, but some of that is because not everything has been rung through the system yet. So I imagine tomorrow we're gonna hit our sales goal, and that'll be great. That'll be awesome because how we work it is when we ship it, we ring it up through the system and then it counts. So we should be good for tomorrow. Things seem to pick up a little bit today. I know the past couple of days have been ho hum. All right. So competition. We do a great episode about competition versus collaboration and why we don't compete in this industry, because there's enough to go around in the reselling industry, and how we support each other, and how you can, how it's totally cool to collaborate and lift each other up. And we all want to see this reselling things succeed and, keep things out of the landfill and contribute to the circular economy and all those really important things that are the reason why a lot of us do that. All right. So I'm listening to this podcast, the Bruce Lipton on Lewis Howes podcast, and he says one little blip that Darwin had it wrong, that it's not, survival of the fittest. It is more like, he uses the analogy of a garden, right? That we're all working together and, creating something wonderful, right? Like we all work in harmony. It's very symbiotic. So anyway, he says that wasn't the original definition or the etymology of the word. I think that's it. I'm getting confused because I did entomology, but it's etymology of the word. Compete means to strive for something together. So of course I had to fact check it. And there's some debate on this, but the whole concept of it was super interesting. Is, compete in the original Latin really meant to strive for something, not that you were, dueling forces or competing with somebody or competing with yourself. Now, I'm a very competitive person. Anybody that knows me will tell you that I'm very competitive, generally not with other people. With myself, definitely when I set a goal, I'm very competitive in that way. But the original meaning of the word competitive is to strive together. And I'm going to go with that definition. So I thought that was really interesting, kind of turn it on its head. But I wanted to look a little bit more about, so Darwin, survival of the, of the fittest, evolution, all of that kind of stuff, more like natural selection, kind of breeds this whole competitive mindset. And I don't think that was, and I could be wrong about this, that is what Darwin had in mind when he was talking about the evolution of the species, and how we like natural selection and how we evolve. I don't think it was. I think it's a really awesome theory. I think it's been proven in so many ways, but survival of the fittest and competition, I think, plays a very different role in that than we tend to think. It is people that, a lot of the evolution is we can fit into these social structures and all of that stuff and learn to get along and learn to be symbiotic. It's not necessarily the strongest, the fittest, the whatever. It's the people that are the most adapted to survival that generally pass along their genes. And there's all sorts of influences on that, obviously. But I think that, I'm just going to come right out and say it, I think that Bruce Lipton, in that video, I think the idea was really good. And I think he definitely made the point, and he made it very well. But I think that we maybe misunderstand a little bit of Darwin and survival of the fittest and the theory of evolution. Survival of the fittest is actually not attributed to Darwin. See, this is where, if you give a mouse a cookie, if you give Libby a little bit of biology, all right. So survival of the fittest is not actually Darwin's term. It was coined by someone that read The Origin of the Species and encouraged him to use it. But so it's not really necessarily as competitive as we think it is. It's adaptation, which takes us into, I love the field of sociobiology. I think it's fascinating. I think it takes Darwin's theory of natural selection and makes it more robust and more understandable and more adapted to cultural and things like that. There's a lot of controversy over sociobiology and E.O. Wilson and all of that stuff, but it is very interesting. So anyway, collaboration over competition is something that we embrace in the reselling world, which is why I was so interested in this. And there's also an evolution in behavior. And, we've seen this, and we've seen this with individuals, this evolution of behavior where, sometimes people come into it. Like, I came from, a very competitive, I did, worked for a tech company and did project management and things like that. And a lot of what we did was very competitive, right? That's the way of the business world and a lot of things. So a lot of us are coming from that kind of space. I think teachers are not, which is great. They don't come from that kind of space. But if you're coming from the business world, you're definitely coming from a competitive space. And coming into reselling, a lot of times that is the mindset. Like, I know a lot of people in my life and people I've talked to don't understand when I say it is a very collaborative business. Reselling is extremely collaborative. We work with other resellers. I would send people to the consignment store up the street or the thrift store up the street. And that was totally cool, because people wanted, to shop, secondhand, or, I didn't have the particular item, and it was cool to do that. It was totally fine. A little hard to wrap your head around if you're coming from the business world, and how this is actually like an evolution that helps us all, right? Our competition, in the sense that we use the word today, is really competing against big box stores, waste disposal, unethical practices in manufacturing. Like, that's what we're competing against. If we feel like we need to compete against something, we're not competing against each other. we're competing against something that's much larger, and changing people's mindsets to be more circular and supporting of their local economy, things like that. All right, so that all ties together into, if we want to use the word competition like we use it today, then that is what we are competing against. I think with each other, we are striving together, and we are using the way the word was initially intended in the original Latin. But anyway, go ahead, listen to our episode on collaboration over competition. It's awesome. Especially if you're coming from the mindset, like you're maybe during the day, maybe that is your, full-time hustle, is you work in a business environment. Or maybe you're coming, into reselling full time from that, because you have to do a little bit of a mindset shift there as far as the reselling world. And definitely watch the Bruce Lipton video. It is full of crazy information. Yesterday I was talking about how it equated to our subconscious beliefs and what we believe about ourselves. It's pretty powerful, probably more powerful than we give it credit for. So enjoy. All right, guys, have a great night. I'll see you tomorrow on day 135.